Everyone, and welcome to my channel. My name is Alicia Jackson, licensed professional counselor here and an IFS therapist. Today we are going to talk about how to connect with parts in session. I want to speak to the fact that connecting with parts in a session, especially if you are just used to traditional talk therapy, that it can be something that is maybe a little intimidating, something you feel like, I don't know how to do, I don't know where to start. And I want you to know that there's no wrong way to do this. Okay, there's no wrong way to do this, and that's actually kind of what this video is about things that may happen or will happen as you're connecting with parts and kind of normalizing them to say that's okay. If you are saying to yourself, Alicia, what are you talking about? What are parts? I don't get it. What are you talking about? Do I have parts? Yes, you do have parts. We all have parts. And also, if you're interested in learning more about internal family systems, I do have a video called What is IFS? Feel free to check that out, as well as additional IFS videos just to explain more about the modality and also how it shows up within us and as we interact with each other. If you are returning, welcome back. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and comment below. Let me know what your thoughts are. I'm always curious about your IFS journey and any questions you may have along the way. So let's get into it. How to connect with parts in session. Know that different parts are going to show up as you are doing your internal work in therapy. Again, it's allowed. It's okay. They want a space. They have been waiting. They have been waiting for you to attend to them. Normally what we do is we externalize. Our parts are trying to get other people's attention when they really need our attention. And the hard part about getting other people's attention is you and I both know we don't really have much control over other people. We don't. Our parts try to control them though. They do. Especially those manager parts. As you connect with parts or continue to do your part work in therapy, you will begin to develop names for your parts, and you will check with that part to say, does that name feel right and true for you? Because sometimes the way we experience a part is through another part, and it's usually not the true intent of what that part is trying to do to protect us. So there are different types of parts. There are manager parts, firefighter parts, exile parts, and then there are self energy. And all these parts may show up in session. They're all allowed, they're all welcomed, and they all need to be heard, and they all need to be seen. They are a part of the healing journey. Some of our parts may feel like they are a hindrance to the journey. Some of our parts may feel like they need to be shut down, they need to be quiet, let's get rid of them. And we know when we're feeling that is usually a part. Self has compassion and wants to hear the parts, while other parts may be at odds with some of our parts. So at the beginning of your session, a therapist might ask you if there are any parts that you noticed this week that have been coming up for you, anything that may have been activated or triggered during the week, and for you to connect with this part to see what they need from you and if they're ready to go through the healing steps and be unburdened. Also, your system may have pinpointed an area that they want to focus on, right? Or you or your therapist have decided that, and so that's the part that you are planning to address. What may happen, not saying it will happen, but what may happen is the therapist might just ask you to do a meditation or to even just go inside, kind of sit with yourself, listen to the noise that we tend to block out to see what part wants the attention, what part needs the attention urgently. All of our parts are important. All of our parts need to be heard, seen, and acknowledged. And there may be some more matters that may be urgent depending on what's going on in your life and in your system. The thing about parts is they are all different. They're all different and they all show up in different ways, especially depending on what age they are. All parts show up in many different ways. Some parts show up in a voice. Some parts show up in a feeling or a sense. Some parts show up in an energy. Some parts are visual, where you actually see the part or you'll see a color or a light. Sometimes a part may show up differently from another part and you might dismiss it because it is showing up completely different. And that's okay. That is a part of the journey. There's no right or wrong way to do this. The theme of this video is, and that's okay. You're going to hear me say this quite a bit, and that's okay. Even in my internal work, there was a part that was coming up, and it was like this bright light, and I thought, okay, I don't know what this is. And then week after week, I was noticing that the same bright light was coming up, and I said, oh, this is a part. And so once I attended to it, I was able to really get some valuable information and connect with it, and then able to continue along with the healing work I was doing with my IFS therapist. As you're doing your part work, your therapist will ask you to connect with whatever part you decide. Say it's your people pleaser part. It will ask you to connect with a part of you that has a really hard time saying no to people. Some people open their eyes, some people close their eyes. It's whatever works best for you. I do well with my eyes closed because I need to really pay attention to what's happening in my system to really connect with my parts and make sure I'm in tune with my system. And at the same time, some people have to keep their eyes open because you might not feel safe. You might not feel safe, and that parts of you might not feel safe closing your eyes, and that is okay. Remember, there's no right or wrong way to do this. Your therapist might ask to see if you feel any tension or energy in or around your body. Know that not everyone is going to feel energy in or around your body. Depending on your life experiences and your traumatic experiences, you may not feel anything in your body, and that is also okay. It is, I promise, it's okay. And your therapist over time will be able to help you to connect with your body in a safe way, in a way that feels most safe for your system. Know that not all of your system might be okay with connecting with your people pleasing part, okay? And so that's a question that I ask often in session, to say, I just want to do a check-in to see if all parts are okay with this. And I'll ask it maybe even 2 or 3 times. One, just to make sure, because there can be a part of us that is a people pleaser, or a part of us that might just like want this people pleasing part to get healed and want to be able to say no, want to be able to set boundaries, right? And so it's like, yeah, we're good, when we're not. And there may be another part that's saying, well, no, I'm actually really scared about us connecting with this part because I don't want to lose people. And I know if we say no, then that means that we'll lose people in our life and be alone. And so that part holds that belief, and that needs to be attended to before connecting with that part. And that's okay. As you're connecting with your parts, you have identified it in your body, maybe in your chest, might be in your stomach, in your arms, in your shoulders, in your throat, even in your eyes, wherever you feel the energy. And as you're connecting with this energy, your therapist is asking you questions as we're trying to truly hear directly from the part. We're trying to hear directly from the part. And sometimes there's this part that's trying to figure things out, or maybe feels like they know the right answer to the question. One of the biggest questions that we do ask a part is the role that they play. How do they protect us? How do they protect the system? And so sometimes there's a part that thinks they know or feels they know, or part of the client that is trying to figure out the right question. Know that that's okay. That is perfectly okay. Well, what happens is the therapist will kind of talk to this part, see if it'll allow permission for us to hear directly from the part, because we want to hear directly from the part. It has so much valuable information, so much beautiful information that's needed for the client to get a better understanding of what's going on inside of them, and also for the other parts to hear what this part has to say. It's truly important to developing self-energy. Know that during this process, a part might get quiet. It might go silent on us. That's okay. It may not be ready to answer that question. It may not feel like it's a safe question, and we will take our time. We want to get permission. We want to get permission. Our parts are showing up only to protect us. When I say only to protect us, only to protect us. That's why there's no bad parts. And so we want to gain permission. We want to gain permission. We don't want to barge. We don't want to push, because what will happen if we push is that our system, our parts, will definitely stop in its tracks and let us know it's not going to happen. Or the next session, some things might happen because the system didn't feel didn't feel safe to go as far as they did last session. So we want to make sure we hear from those parts. Sometimes you might hear other voices or feel other sensations or feel a change in your body and your energy. Say your people pleasing part was in your chest, and then all of a sudden the pain in your chest kind of lessens, and then you start to feel something in your stomach. The part may have moved. It may be another part coming up, but it's something to attend to and to let your therapist know as you're feeling these different things or hearing different things. If there's another thought that's popping up, just to let them know. And sometimes you don't want to do that. Sometimes you don't want to do it because it might be a part that has some harsh words to say. It might be a part, again, that's not giving permission for us to hear this people-pleasing part. And that's okay. That's okay. Remember, all of our parts need to be heard, seen, and acknowledged. They need to be heard, seen, and acknowledged. And so while it might be tempting to maybe quiet down the voice that maybe is trying to resist the process or the healing steps, and where the therapist is trying to get information and another part pops up or another thought comes up that you feel like, oh, I don't know if I should say that, or it might be tempted to do what is correct, right? Trying to give like Sunday school answers when it doesn't feel real and true to what's happening in the system. Listen to your parts. They're there for a reason. We don't want to do anything that's going to be emotionally unsafe for your parts or your system. So it's okay. It is okay if a part comes up and says, no, I don't want to do this today, or I'm not feeling it. Because especially if we're trying to attend to a people-pleasing part, if you have a people-pleasing part and there's a part of you that's saying, I'm not feeling this today, I would imagine that your people-pleasing part would have a hard time with that, right? And at the same time, that part needs to be heard too. Whatever part that's saying we don't want to do this, maybe a rebel part, or it may just be a part that's tired. We don't know. We have to attend to them. Also, as other parts come up during session and you're letting your therapist know, your therapist is going to be a guide, and at the same time your system is in the driver's seat. Your therapist is just like a navigational system, but your system has a steering wheel, and so it's going to be guiding the process. And wherever your system allows permission is where you will go. As there's no agenda. The only agenda is to hear your parts. Acknowledge your parts. Hear what they have to say. They have been waiting for you. They have been waiting for you to listen and attend to them. They've been reaching out to other people and they haven't been getting what they needed. They need it from you. And so that's why connecting with parts is so important, and attending to them and listening to what they have to say. Know that things are going to happen that you may not have planned for, that you didn't attend to, that you may have a part of you that has a very tight itinerary about what therapy is supposed to look like, and know that part is welcome and we can attend to that part. Internal family systems is a model that is not rigid. It does not have a strict format, right? There is a natural flow, but there is not a strict format on how things are supposed to go. It's not like in a very neat box. That's not how we work. It's not how we work. And at the same time, there can be goals that you can set with your IFS therapist, and we want to check in with your system to see if they're okay with these goals and to get their permission to work on these goals. Remember, our parts are going to show up in many different ways. You might get a clear, vivid memory from the past that popped up, and you see yourself and you're like, oh, that's me, but you don't actually have a true memory of it ever happening, but you see your younger self. Or you might have a color, a flash of light, you in a scene. You might hear a voice. You might feel a strong, intense feeling. That may be how your parts show up. That is okay. There's no specific way for your parts to show up. We just have to attend to how they show up in our body and how they present themselves to us. If you feel safe, if you feel like your system agrees to it, let me know how connecting with your parts has been in session for you. Let me know how they've shown up for you. I have had parts show up to me in colors, in light, and seeing myself in certain ways. Sometimes it's just a voice. And no picture. Sometimes our parts are just a feeling. Know that it's all welcome and that it's all okay. So again, let me know what questions you have regarding connecting with parts and part work in session. And if you got anything out of the content, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and as always, be cool, be calm, be centered.